everyone, it's me, Nita Rose, and I'll be doing a review video of Season 1 of Helluva Boss. I will discuss my thoughts on each episode and give a rate by the end. I'm going to be including the pilot episode as well, even if it isn't canon, but I feel it's worth a discussion. And also, these are just my own opinions on the matter, so I will do my best not to offend anyone on a certain topic or characters. I'm not going to be analyzing the entire episode because if it's not going to be important to the story, then I'm not going to bother with it. But there are going to be some details that will be addressed, such as hints and foreshadowing for later episodes. I was planning on uploading each episode one by one, but then decided to talk about the season as a whole, and plan on doing the same thing for season 2. So, shall we get started? Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that Stolas is a lot more interesting, and should have stayed as a villain. A funny villain to exact. After all, this scene made me laugh.
When I'm lonely, I become hungry. And when I become hungry, I want to choke on that red of yours, your and lick all of your before taking out your and with more teeth until you're screaming like a fucking baby.
And Blitz's facial expression was just priceless. Not only that what he heard was so bad and so inappropriate that Blitz broke his phone in his hand, used the other phone to smash it, puts it in a blender to liquefy it, and have Luna drink it and tell her to shit off the freeway. That is comedy gold right there. Stolas has an associate that he sends up to Earth to do his bidding for his own personal gain, and he enjoys his sexual favors he has with Bliss to satisfy himself. That sounds like a selfish person who have taken advantage of others. I wonder how the story would have gone if they kept this version of this Stolas instead of the crybaby owl boy. Granted, it would have been interesting if this Stolas also fell in love with Blitz. I believe the results would be different than what we got. Another thing that I love are the jokes in this. I remember laughing a lot the first time I saw this. But there's one joke that I didn't get a laugh at, or I will get a laugh at, was the Moxie fat joke. Like, I don't get it. Why is that funny? First of all, I don't think calling someone fat is funny. It's just insulting. Besides, Moxie's as skinny as a toothpick. Honestly, it seems like he needs to put some fat in his body. So yeah, the whole Moxie fat joke is not funny and it doesn't make any sense. What does make sense is the plot of the story and the characters, which are well done. And the pacing was good too. It's not too fast, nor is it dragging on. I think the pacing is well balanced. The story was simple enough to understand. You got demons from hell run an assassination business hired by sinners that want revenge for their death. It is interesting to learn more about how this business started up. The way they introduce the characters is good too. Even if it's only 12 minutes long, the episode gives enough time to learn about these characters and what they do and what their connections are. We learn right off the bat that Blitz adopted Luna, although at the time I didn't really know why, which is one of the things I really wanted to know. There's a married couple, Millie and Moxie, nicknamed the M&Ms. There's a lot of things about this pilot that makes me want to invest in the show. Blitz also has a stalker problem who loves to spy on the M&Ms. I'm surprised those two didn't quit on him after what he did. If they weren't in hell, Blitz would have been arrested for this. But I still find it kind of funny and yet creepy at the same time. But since this is fictional, I won't take it too seriously, because this entire episode was written to be funny and entertaining. It may not be canon, but this pilot episode was well put together. I enjoy watching, and personally, in my opinion, one of the best episodes I watch, even though it has its flaws. I give this episode an 8 out of 10. How the first episode started out was pretty ironic, with colorful themes of children with the teacher singing, and then it gets dark showing blood and gory. It just shows that people from Earth are just as bad as the demons in hell. Miss Bayberry, the teacher who killed herself after murdering her husband and his mistress. She hired IMP to kill the woman who had an affair with her husband who survived her attack. It turns out that the woman and her family are murderers themselves. This episode just shows how sinners are born into hell. It also shows how Moxie is hesitating to killing a family, which is a foreshadowing. The jokes are fine, as I did get some laugh out of it, and also Luna pointing out that the family are not as innocent as they seem to be, which does turn out to be true. I also do think that Stolas is a lot better here than in Season 2 in my opinion, although he's not as good as the one from the pilot. After re-watching this episode, I noticed Stolas isn't as bad as the character that I previously thought the first time I watched this. Yeah, he is perverted towards Bliss, but I just assumed that's just part of his persona, and showing his affection towards the man he loves in his own weird way. It reminds me of the butler Niles from The Nanny. He always picked on the secretary Cece because he finds her irritating. But but it turns out he was just flirting with her the whole time with his constant bullying. I was thinking it could have been the same way with Stolas, in how and why he does the things he does with Blitz because he actually likes him. Honestly, this is much better than we got in season 2, but I will talk about that train wreck when the time comes. But the one thing that does bother me even to this day is the timing of Stolas' calls to make the deal with Blitz about his grimoire. I can never get over the fact that this bird called at the worst time to make this deal. Sorry, I know I'm being biased again, but I just had to get that off my chest. But moving on, I did find it funny to see the family blow up. I know that seems harsh, but these people are not so innocent, so I wouldn't feel that bad for them. I give this episode a 6 out of 10. It's only the second episode and we learn more about Stolas and his family. This is where we're introduced to his daughter Octavia, who feels neglectful from her father and living in a broken home. She has to deal with the screaming of her parents every day because her father cheated on her mother, which makes her life uneasy. Stolas decided to have a father-daughter time together, which is a good thing to do. It is nice that he's willing to spend time with his daughter. However, he's also decided to bring Blitz along because they need security. Yeah, right. We all know the real reason why. Throughout the time at Lululand, Stolas keeps flirting with Blitz in front of Octavia, which makes her feel uncomfortable. Dude, spend time with your daughter and stop flirting with your impish plaything. This should have been just Stolas and Octavia. Blitz didn't have to be in this episode despite him being the main character. Sometimes the MC can take supportive roles in an episode, that way other characters can develop. This episode is a prime example. Blitz should have been kept in the background and just doing his job as a bodyguard, which he does, but keeps getting interrupted. That way Octavia wouldn't got upset with him and storm off with Stolas being oblivious to the situation. Granted, he does apologize to her and they make up in the end, but he should have explain the situation about him and his wife and why they're fighting all the time, but he can't seem to find the words. Although, it is hard to tell your child that your only existence is through forced marriage and circumstances. But overall, Stolas should have come clear about it, that way Octavia will be more at ease and maybe less miserable. Honestly, this episode makes me feel sorry for the girl. 3 out of 10. I would have ranked it higher if it was a good father-daughter episode, but sadly it wasn't. Okay, so in this episode, we are introduced to the famous pop star and Blitz's ex-girlfriend, Veroska Mayday, who some fans call her as a slutty Marinette, because she's voiced by Christina V. Yeah, I got the joke. Veroska is supposed to be the antagonist of the episode because she hates Blitz, for very good reasons. Blitz did shitty things to her, like stealing her car, maxing her credit card, dumps her, and leaving to pay for the hotel. So yeah, Blitz was a shitty boyfriend. So to get back at him, she steals his parking spot and harasses his staff members. Okay, she's not so innocent herself. So they have a competition over the parking spot, and of course Blitz wins in the end. Although I was upset that Veroska lost because it felt unjustified for her, but at the same time, I did feel satisfied because she was also kind of a shitty person because of what she did to Moxie. She is allowed to hate Blitz all she wants because she has the right to do so. But Moxie didn't do anything wrong, but Veroska and her crew attacked Moxie just to send a message to Blitz. Taking his parking spot is fine, but sexually harassing his co-worker is crossing the line. So yeah, if Veroska hadn't done that, I would have rooted for her. This episode also introduced the human transformation disguise, which shows that Luna's the only one who knows how to do that. It would be nice to see the other human disguises, but hey, there's always fan art. This episode gets a 7 out of 10 because the writing and dialogue are pretty decent in this one, and learn a little bit more about Blitz's past is well played. Okay, as much as I dislike the cherubs, this was a fun episode to watch, because of the dark humor of the old man wanting to die because of his mistake, and these angel fuckers won't let that happen. But IMP gets hired by the old man's partner to kill him, not out of revenge, but he wants the old man to join him in hell. So the whole time the old man was willing to kill himself, making Blitz's job much easier. But the cherubs keep getting in the way. Like, come on angel fuckers, if the guy wants to die, let him die. He'll die from natural causes it anyway, so what's the point of keeping him alive? Sure, he can donate all his wealth, but the guy is a greedy bastard, so that'll be out the window. The back-to-back scene of the cherub showing the old man the good things in life, only for Blitz to show the dark humor, which is funny, I will not lie. The cherubs get kicked out of heaven because their actions are the cause of the old man's death, which doesn't explain why, but I'm not gonna go into details for that. 5 out of 10. The cherubs suck, but this episode was fun. Wow, this is the first time Blitz and Stolas had a somewhat decent conversation that isn't just about sex. Like the Harness Moon Festival at the Wrath Ring. We get introduced to Stryker, who is the antagonist of the episode, who was hired by Stolas' wife to kill him. People claim this is supposed to be a Millie episode because why can't it be a Millie episode? I mean, this is her family farm, but we're just gonna focus on Moxie for some reason? We're also introduced to Millie's sister, Sally Mae, who is so far one of the best characters that the show has to offer. We get to see her again in one of the shorts, which fleshes out her character more. Even though she doesn't have a lot of screen time, she's already popular among the fan base. Stryker seemed to be an interesting villain in this episode, and using his manipulated tactics to get Blitz to join his side on killing royals. I also love the scene of Stryker pinning Blitz to the wall, but that's just my personal take. The competition within the festival was fun to watch, and also Stolas needs to read the room. Don't announce your relationship with your sex partner. Seriously, nobody needs to know. The animation was well done in this episode, although the fight scene with Stryker and Blitz was a little choppy, but still well animated. 7 out of 10, one of my favorites. Now, I thought the animation was good in the last episode, but this one really kicked up in high gear. You could tell that the people that worked on this put an effort and time. Both the fight scene and the hallucination has done pretty well. And I also like the fact that this episode does the show don't tell, because actions always speak louder than words. When Moxie and Blitz got captured by dorks, they get drugged by truth gas, and each of them show their perspective of the other person through the hallucination. We see Blitz's mistake and how screwed up his life was like before he established IMP, and the fear of getting too close to others caused him to push them away, causing damage to his love life. Moxie's perspectives seem to have the opposite effect. It's clear that he looks up to Blitz, but is tired of his judgment and just wants to be appreciated by him. Blitz is afraid of dying alone and doesn't know how to treat people fairly, which showcased the trauma he experienced from his past. Moxie's in the same situation, as he too doesn't want to be rejected. They both realize their flaws towards each other and grown closer, as Blitz being respectful towards Moxie for once. There's also the moment with Luna and Millie working together to save the boys, which is a good touch between the two of them. Stolas saving IMP was a good touch too. If only he didn't ask for anything in return, that way he was shown that Stolas does care for them and just saves Blitz out of kindness of his heart. But sadly, that didn't happen. 8 out of 10. The animation is great, and there were good character moments. The best episode so far. I remember talking about this episode a lot, because it shows the dynamic between Blitz and Stolas and how their relationship was nothing more than sexual favors. Stolas wanted to have a romantic moment with Blitz for the first time, which I find very strange because what Stolas ever wanted from Blitz is nothing more than the sex, as he proved it throughout the season. So this behavior of Stolas wanting Blitz for love instead of lust just came out of nowhere. And I mentioned it before that Stolas' way of showing his affection towards Blitz seemed to be the norm for him, but he started to act nervous around him on their date. I mean, he had no trouble talking to him before, and all of a sudden he's acting like a teenage boy asking out a girl. Granted, due to his loveless marriage, this could be the reason, but if he could talk to Blitz in the bedroom, why is he having trouble here? And there really is no rhyme or reason for Stolas to behave like this. That's the reason why Blitz pulled his hand away, because he knows at this point what Stolas wants from him. I know I wouldn't analyze this, but I'm saying what I'm witnessing. Another thing about this episode is that Blitz is slowly starting to realize his actions are having consequences. When Barasa called him out and gets into his face, you can see the expression of fear and regrets. I love the facial expressions on a character. You can tell what they're feeling just by looking at that. There are more expressions when both Blitz and Stolas gets called out by their affair. There are more call-outs about Blitz's insecurity, but then again, he brought this on himself since it is his own fault. He only invited Stolas as his +1 to get into the club because of his bad habit of following Millie and moxie everywhere. So yeah, Stolas is the victim here. But in the end, Blitz does apologize to him. Blitz gets called out by his BS all the time, and he never seemed to care. But in this episode, it started to affect him. I love it when characters get called out and have to face the consequences of their actions. That's what happened with Blitzo. He was told not to follow the M&Ms on their date, but he does it anyway. He used Stolas to get into a club only to ignore him, and the consequences he faces is that he gets publicly humiliated by his ex-girlfriend and his ex-best friend, along with the sin of lust. By the end, I agree, Blitz was being an ass, but I can understand his situation and why he lashed out at Stolas like that. Stolas wanted to continue their date even after everything that happened, and Blitz just wants the day to be over. I also love the ending where Blitz cries after seeing the picture of his mother and sister, which led to the story of his past. I give this episode a 7 out of 10. As there seems to be a lot of drama going on, it still feels like that Stolas' change of behavior seems random to me, but that's just my own opinion. Can't say that this is the season finale, even though it is the last episode to air, but it's only because it was pushed back due to copyright issues of Kesha's song, only to find out later that the song was written by Kesha, but had to be performed by somebody else. I'll give credit when credit is due. Kesha did do the voice of the character, but not the vocal. I see this nothing more than the Kesha episode, but it does have good moments with some good jokes. We get the intro of the Sin of Gluttony voiced by Kesha, and a little bit of Luna trying to make new friends, and Blitz getting drunk was funny to watch, and we get a father-daughter moment with Luna and Blitz. 6 out of 10, the Kesha song still rocks.
Fucking honey. Yeah, keep it coming.
Season 1 is the best written season so far. It's fun watching demons run a small business of murdering people in the human realm hired by sinners that want revenge. The way they introduce the characters are well done, and the world building within the show does catch some attention, and having support from someone of royalty is a clever idea. Sure, there are some episodes of Stolas and his loveless lifestyle, but he shouldn't be the focus of the show when Blitz is the main character, and that was the problem with Season 2, which I will review as well. What I love about this season is the focus of the main storyline, and no melodrama between Stolas and Blitz, which was put in the back burner, which I am fine with because it helps balance out the season as a whole. Some villains aren't that great, but they are memorable. Like the Cherubs and the Dorks did have roles in the season as the antagonists, even though they are annoying, but I still think they worked out fine in the season. This was a lot of fun to rewatch. The jokes are still good, and there are some great character moments, great development, and some action scenes, and animation is great as always. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, you are welcome to subscribe and comment your thoughts on this season, and I'll see you all next time.